so this is my IB research presentation on Kyojin farce. So specifically in Kyojin farce, I will be focusing on the convention of gesture throughout the tradition. So what are the origins of Kyojin farce? So traditionally, Kyojin farce came from two other types of traditional Japanese theater. It came from Saga Raku, and according to Fabian Bowers in the text, Japanese theater, primary origin is found in the earliest types of Sarugaku. Sarugaku's primitive realism and humor were retained in Kyojin. So Sarugaku was kind of the predecessor to the more lighthearted and humorous aspects of Kyojin, which I will be going into more depth later. But as well as Kabuki. Kabuki is more of a dance theater, and Kabuki kind of introduced the more big and exaggerated movements that kind of shaped and formed its way into Kyojin farce, which kind of strayed away from the refined movements of its counterpart, which is the no dramas. And although it's not really the origins of Kyojin, it's very important in the way in which it is performed, because traditionally in Japan, the Kyojin farce was performed in between 3 or 4 30-minute no dramas. And the reason of that, next slide please, is because Kyojin was meant to relieve the tension of the everyday drama. So traditionally, religion was an important part in Japan. And so the point of having Kyojin was to stray away from all the demons and the death, all the really fun stuff we all go to see theater for. Woo. But Kyojin wanted to give, the lower class and farmers in Figure 5 a chance to see their struggles on stage, to see, hey, I don't have to think about that. I can see demon mushrooms and crabs and all. So again, and not only was it performed in between no plays, but it also it kind of made fun of the aspects in no dramas. So for example, Figure 4, that's a traditional Japanese tale of a skeleton coming to collect the next soul, Grim Reaper type stuff. So and in Kyojin farce, it could be seen more as, the skeleton's actually like a really funny guy, and he's coming to laugh at you and take your farm. It's really fun. Okay. So, and also, one of the more interesting origins of and purpose of Kyojin was actually from 6th century Buddhism, and according to Crash Course Theater by Mike Rugnetta, the origins came from, so the story goes that a sun goddess was hiding behind the clouds. There was no light in the world. And then one day she heard everybody performing and laughing, and there was music. So she was really intrigued by this. So she, rose and she brought the sun with her. So it serves the purpose that literally the Kyojin farce and the laughter literally lightens the tension between no dramas. So it's a really, really great metaphor for the importance of what theater can do. Stock characters. So similar to Commedia dell'arte in Italy, stock characters are an important part of Kyojin that kind of shape each and every play that is published. So the first kind of main figure that you encounter in a Kyojin farce play would be the farmer or the commoner. It doesn't have to be a farmer, but traditionally these actors were the one who came out first, and they were kind of served as the narrator. They gave the little brief plot overview and kind of what was going to happen in the specific play that you were about to see. Now, traditionally, since I'm focusing on the convention of gesture, the commoners or the farmers, they didn't have specific, unlike the servants and the priests or religious figures had very specific gestures that they did throughout, but the commoners and the farmers didn't have those set specific gestures. But the servants, who often accompanied a master, they could be 1 or 2 servants, these traditionally did have more specific gestures. So they used a fan a lot, and similar to Restoration comedy in England and France, they used a fan, and oftentimes it was for comedic purposes. So, for example, they would start vigorously fanning the master until they would get so tired of it that they would collapse or fighting with each other. And, there was two types of servants. There could be the really cunning, sly servant, or there could be the, everything didn't register quite right in the head. And then you have the warrior priest, or the priest, it doesn't have to be warrior priest, the religious figures that often had specific gestures. They often had prayer beads or a type of hair around their neck that they would twirl around, getting that religion everywhere they can. And they would also, in my specific moment of theater, they would, they do specific, whatever religious gestures. They could make an X in the air, they could blow a river, whatever happens. And then finally you have a master, which is kind of the upper class that was the main point of satirizing that, And sometimes he can do something right, and it depends really on the play, but he can go either way of whether he helps his servants or he leaves it all to them. So, next slide, please. Moment of theater. So the moment I've chosen is from a Kyojin farce play that was developed by the Izumi School in Japan. It was meant as a practice performance, but it kind of developed into more of a regular performance that happens more often. So it's called kusabira, or mushrooms. So as you can see, they're little mushrooms, and traditionally children would play the mushrooms, show their little stature. So the main premise of the brief plot overview of the play is that a farmer, one of our stock characters, wakes up one day and he sees all these little mushrooms in his house. And he's like, I can't have this happening. So he goes and he tries to find a warrior priest to get rid of all the mushrooms. So the warrior priest come back, and in my specific moment, he's trying to pray away the mushrooms. It doesn't go well. But I chose this moment specifically because it provides kind of a blank slate for the actors and directors. It talks about the sign of the eggplant. That's a little vague. So it provides the actors to interpret that as they will, and it gives the actors and directors a chance to kind of see what they can do with the very limited gesture that they give, but still seeing how they can play on that comedic timing. So, I know. There certainly are a lot of them. There are princess and boar's mouth and shimji mushrooms, but it's always the case that when something is about to be obliterated, all of its little manifestations appear at once. For occasions such as this, I know a special secret sign known as the sign of the eggplant. I will now invoke the sign and pray. That didn't work. Oh God, that didn't work. Okay. It's okay. I got this. I've inherited all the manners of power from the Bahatspa and the Gyoja, and I will invoke the sign a final time. It will disappear. Let's stretch again. Boron! 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 Okay, that didn't work. All right, and my end. Okay. So, gesture, one second. So just to go back really quick, as I said, that doesn't work. And they go outside and they actually encounter a giant demon mushroom. But that's not the point of this. and pulling the screenshots of me practicing the specific gestures that I was trying to use during the moment. So it was also helpful to perform in front of a mirror and my mother as well because it helped me. She was able to provide me with feedback on what I could do during the presentation, and because I specifically wanted to focus on gesture, the first 2 times I practiced, I actually didn't, my moment looked nothing like that. And then I realized, wait, I need to be focusing on my gesture, so let me tweak this. So I added, the little X's and the main gestures that I used in my performance. And one difficulty I had with this was I typically don't use my body as much. I focus more on my vocal choices, but I know that, in choosing the convention of gesture, I could, push myself as a theater student to see how exactly using gesture could help me. You can go to the next slide, please, Katie. Okay, good, they're all done. Okay, so I can connect this to Restoration Comedy, as I talked about a little before. So Restoration Comedy was popular in France and England, and specifically connecting it to gesture and movement, and the fan. The fan was also an integral part of Figure 16. She's fanning herself. But Restoration Comedy focused more on the big, exaggerated movements and gestures, similar to Kyojin, and kind of giving that chance to kind of relieve the pressure and the drama of what you see in everyday life and like satirizing the upper class. But specifically, it's very connected in the way that they use their bodies and their hands and the props. And in a unit, the restoration unit that we did a couple months ago, we we created a piece of theater that we performed at a festival, and I wish that I had had the knowledge of Kyojin before doing that presentation, because although we did restoration, I wasn't really into the idea of using gesture as much, and I think that with the knowledge that I now have with Kyojin, I could have really built my character development and kind of just took that character to the next level. So, yes. So, in conclusion, I have learned the importance of, the convention of gesture and how that can push the piece of theater to the next level, and how that can really build character, and how it can be just as important as using your vocal choices.